What do you regret?
Nothing.
Over the course of the years?
Never. Because I never make irreversible decisions. Therefore, I have nothing to regret.
What have you had to unlearn to relearn?
Everything. I had to unlearn the fact that I am not who people have told me that I am. That I'm not what, a school teacher dictates that my future is, that I'm not what my parents think that I am, that I'm not what religious structures tell me that I am, that I am whoever I choose to be. And that's the most important thing that I've truly learned in my life, is that not only can I determine who I am, but in the future tense, I can, through my actions, determine who I will become.
How did you learn that process? Was that from looking at yourself, or was it like true education? Because the way you learn is pretty unique in the way you think about things.
Like I said, Henry Ford said it best, the hardest job in the world is to think. That's why most people don't do it. I spent 8 years, I made a couple $1 million in e-commerce early on. And one of my deep desires was, I need to learn how to develop mental frameworks. I need to learn how to think. I need to learn why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I spent literally 8 months sitting around a fire every single day. I had a fireplace in my house, just thinking about why I'm doing things, why I want things in life, who do I want to have these things with, what type of things I enjoy. And you begin to learn more about yourself the more you spend time with yourself. Most people, they sit in the car, they turn on the radio, blast that motherfucker loud, dude. Noise, distractions. They can't sit with themselves 5 minutes. They can't handle it. And it's a process of realizing that if you're by yourself and you feel lonely, then you have a lot of self-work to do. I enjoy being by myself. I enjoy being in my mind because I'm learning who I am. Most people go through life not knowing anything about themselves. They think that they're their name. They think that they're this three-dimensional piece of flesh that walks around. They think that they're their nationality or their religion. No, these are things that have been put upon you. And once you break away from these things, once you understand that you truly are a limitless individual, then the game begins. But you have to get to the point where you believe these things. The Bible says it best. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So it all starts in the mind, because the mind, right, leads to actions. Actions lead to habits. Habits lead to lifestyle. So if you want to change your lifestyle, you need to retroactively change your mind. And that's the starting point. That's the catalyst of all things.
Something I've definitely struggled with is, I'm an active guy, ambitious guy, but I would be more action than thinking. And I've had to reverse engineer that. I've had to change that and change that habit. So when I was younger, I would jump into these businesses or jump into these ideas without thinking the why or even like the how. And that actually helped to get to a certain point. But I feel like to literally transcend and become better, you need to take a step back. And the challenge I have then is being able to balance the time to think with the time to action. You ever struggle with something like that?
Not really. I understand where you're coming from, but like I said, once you understand that most people don't think, you need to do the opposite of what most people do. Most people are followers. And the worst thing you can be is a follower of a follower. That's what most people are. Most people are following followers. I want to follow my conscious. I want to follow my consciousness. I want to follow my decision-making process. I want to follow my morality. And in order to get to these places, I need to discover them. And nobody's going to discover them for me. You go to a church, what, some preacher's going to tell you on a padded pew with the air conditioning who God is, what God wants from you? Why can't you speak to God yourself? Why can't you have a relationship? If that guy could, why can't I? And once you understand that what's available for other men is available to you, you begin to have a real journey towards self-exploration of self.
You mentioned there about sitting with yourself quite frequently. What's that process? So would you be writing, thinking?
Literally thinking, just speaking with myself, having conversations. Luke, why is it that you enjoy public speaking? Luke, why is it that you enjoy building digital businesses? Well, the reason I enjoy building digital businesses over physical businesses is because I don't like brick and mortar. Okay, well, why don't you like brick and mortar? Well, the reason I don't like brick and mortar is because my grandmother used to own a bakery and I saw her slave away. But does that mean that every brick and mortar business is going to be that way? No. Okay, perfect. So what am I going to do? Am I going to have a brick and mortar business? Well, no, not necessarily. Well, what are my skill sets, Luke? Okay, well, my skill sets are digital marketing, entrepreneurship. I'm really good at leadership. I'm really good at understanding social media. Okay, so maybe digital businesses are better for you. Okay, digital businesses are better for you. Which one? Well, what are the trends that are, and you just go through the rabbit trails and you have these conversations that most people are not willing to have with others, let alone with themselves. They just want somebody else to answer things for them. That's why when you see the comment section is riddled and filled with idiots that think that they have the answers, but all they're doing is regurgitating what another person, another follower has told them is the truth. And I refuse to live that way.
How much do you think your early childhood development has had like an impact on you now?
I mean, like we said, from ages 0 to 7 is the determining factor. Had I been raised in an environment where money was prevalent, where wealth was abundant, I would have had a different perspective. I had to retrain myself to see the abundance in the world. Yeah. I had to retrain myself to see potential and opportunity. When you come from Argentina, $200 in a suitcase, that's what I came to America with. I even though I knew there was potential, I still had a scarcity mindset. What's the difference between somebody that looks at $1,000 and says, wow, that's a lot of money, versus somebody that says, oh, that's chump change, that's not a lot of money? There's a difference in mindset, and it's not just arrogance. It's a difference in upbringing. It's a difference in perspective. It's a difference in worldview. So what I realized is that the worldview that I was given was a worldview that was propagated by governments, that was propagated by individuals that wanted to keep me down. That's why when you stand at the age of 6, you get into the classroom, first thing they tell you, put your hand on your heart and pledge allegiance. Not pledge allegiance to yourself, not pledge allegiance to your purpose and your self-development. No, pledge allegiance to a flag.
It's a lack of self-sovereignty.
Yes.
People don't take personal responsibility and they blame other people.
Because it's hard.
But what I noticed, and this is why individual sports is really interesting, is because I was a sprinter when I was younger, and my parents gave me a lot of opportunity with that, but it would be quite harsh, right? You know, we're there to win. That's another idea. And when you win, you take full accountability.
Yes.
But when you lose, you also are the reason why you lost.
Yes.
You are the reason why you're in that position. Whereas you contrast that to maybe classrooms or team sports. When you won, it's everyone's winner. But when someone loses, they usually try to point something out or something around the area. So I think having that individuality allows you to, again, think for yourself clearly. And for me, it's been an ongoing process every single day. Need to look at some piece of information and see, is it real or not?
I often tell people, everyone is self-made, but only the successful people will admit it. The unsuccessful people will not admit that they created that lack of success. They will blame the big man. They will blame the imaginary thumb that's pressing them down. They'll blame religion. They'll blame race. They'll blame everything except themselves. Every person is self-made. Every single person is self-made because you are a construct of what? Your thoughts and your decisions. Nobody told you that you had to go do something. Nobody told you that you had to think a certain way. And if you did, and somebody told you that, are you a slave? Or are you a free person? And if you understand that you have freedom and sovereignty, now you understand, like you said, you're fully accountable for every decision that you make. And when you're successful, oh, you want all the praise, right? When you're successful, hey, look at me. Look what I did. I'm fully responsible for this. But it's the same thing with lack of success, and it's the same thing with failure. And most people, when they fail, they don't like to look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know what? Maybe I have to change. People want change to happen to them. They don't want to change. And when you realize that change isn't going to happen to you, you need to actually proactively determine your future. Then and only then can you actually take not only full accountability for your good actions, your bad actions, but for your full life.
Why do you think people want that life of mediocrity versus the fear of failing, and doing something very ambitious? People will sit in that, it's like the bell curve. They'll sit in the middle, and instead of striving for greatness or potentially, falling apart, they'll want to stay in the middle. But why do you think that deeper psychological reason is?
Because it's hard. Because it's difficult. It's difficult to have other people criticize you. It's difficult to deal with the fear of uncertainty. But when it's all said and done, you and I are going to be dead. This podcast won't matter. The successes that we've accomplished in life won't matter. The failures that we've accomplished won't matter. So enjoy life. Don't take it so seriously, and enjoy the process of experiencing every potentiality that life has to offer. And when you begin to take yourself less seriously, when you begin to enjoy life, just like kids do, dude, why can't that goes back to the responsibility. Luke, why did you sell your house? Why did you sell your fleet of cars? Why is it that you love just being liquid and being able to move around? Because I don't like the responsibility and the burdens of things that hold other people down. And I think there's a lot of power in that.